This is my son, Ryan, 20 years ago, and it's Halloween night, and he's dressed as Bob the Builder, whose motto is, "Can we fix it? Yes, we can." But on this day, the costume was really only for a photo op because, once again, Ryan was not feeling well, and my husband and Mike and I did not know how to help him. His first year, everything was great. He was a happy, healthy little boy, crawling, saying a few words, getting ready to talk. But on his first birthday, he had a strange episode where he was off balance and kind of crawling crooked like a crab. But after a nap, I didn't see it again for about 6 weeks. And then he had an episode where his muscles were so weak he couldn't sit, couldn't hold his head up, couldn't even open his fingers to hold a toy. So we brought him to the emergency room. And that was the first of many emergency room visits in 2003. We went to dozens of doctors, had hundreds of tests, and everything came back normal when we knew everything was far from normal. So his health was declining, and he was losing the skills he once had. But since his symptoms were episodic, by the time we walked into a doctor's office, they'd often be gone. So I started keeping track of his days on a calendar. And I would mark each day as being a red, yellow, or a green day. And green was a great day with laughing, smiling, playing, no episodes. A yellow day was a mix of episodes, but some good moments too. And red days were the worst days, much like this Halloween night in 2003, when there was nothing I could do but hold my little Bob the Builder and wonder, can I fix this? And I don't know if we can. We had already tried a bunch of specialists, therapies, medications, and on that Halloween night, just for the sake of something new to try, we gave Ryan a Flintstone vitamin. The next day was a green day. The day after that was a green day. And the day after that was a green day. And this was the first time in months that Ryan had had a series of green days in a row. Was it the Flintstone vitamins? Slowly, Ryan started to gain back some of the skills he once had. At 2.5, he could take his first steps. By 5, he could speak in sentences. He was never able to bridge the gap that had developed between him and his peers, but the green days were plentiful. From time to time, he still had episodes of weakness and balance problems and garbled speech and fatigue that would impact his quality of life. So we'd go back to the doctors to see if there was anything new we could try. And every time we saw a doctor, Mike would mention the Flintstone vitamins and how Ryan seemed to improve the next day. But every time this was dismissed as insignificant. And it got to the point that I was embarrassed when he would bring it up because, it just seemed to not be relevant to the situation. And we did get inconsistent about giving him the vitamins as well. When he hit puberty, there was a dramatic uptick in the amount and severity of these episodes, and the neurologist suggested whole exome sequencing. So finally, in 2017, when Ryan was 16 years old, we got a diagnosis of TANGO2. It's an acronym for Transport and Golgi Organization. It's a life-limiting genetic condition that puts him at risk for metabolic crisis, muscle breakdown called rhabdomyolysis, and deadly heart arrhythmias. And it's neurodegenerative, getting worse over time. It had only been discovered in 2016, just 1 year prior, and very little was known about it beyond its name. The geneticist said it was extremely rare, about 1 in a million predicted, but that she had seen one other patient with it, and that patient did not survive. There were no treatments, no cure, and the prognosis was poor. For years, we had worried about Ryan, but now we were afraid for Ryan. We wanted to know more. A few months later, we found a Facebook group called TANGO2 Disease, and we asked to join. And there we met 9 families with 12 children who were like Ryan, had TANGO2. I wanted to know everything about their experiences, their symptoms, medications, what helped, what made things worse, what had they tried, where were they from, how old were they? I started taking notes and putting them in a spreadsheet. Parents were literally the world experts on this ultra-rare disease, and I wanted to capture everything we all collectively knew about it. The oldest in this small group was 18. Ryan was 16. We knew a clock was ticking for him, and we didn't know how fast. Can we fix it? We didn't know if we could, but we knew we had to try. So Mike and I started the TANGO2 Research Foundation in 2018. We got to work making connections to doctors, researchers, families, anyone touched by or interested in TANGO2, and my spreadsheet of notes started to grow, and it would eventually become the basis for a natural history study of the disease. Those first 12 families joined the study, and they answered over 100 questions about their child, and of course we're looking for patterns. Why did some kids have metabolic crisis and heart arrhythmias, and others like Ryan didn't? How come some survived, while almost 20% didn't? And just like he had for the past 14 years, Mike made a point to bring up the Flintstone vitamins and how it seemed to help Ryan back in 2003. This time someone listened. Dr. Christina Miyake of Baylor College of Medicine is the lead researcher of the natural history study, and she started to ask the other families about vitamins. Did their child take any? When? What kind? At our very first TANGO2 family conference, just over a year after we started the foundation, we first heard of some of the early indications coming from this study. And even with only 12 participants, a pattern was still emerging, showing that kids who had never had a metabolic life-threatening crisis, like Ryan, were taking vitamins. In particular, B vitamins. She told us after her talk that it was the mention of Flintstone vitamins that got her interested in following the lead that led to this finding. That was in 2019. Fast forward to 2023, and there are now almost 100 patients enrolled in our natural history study, and the evidence is only stronger. This bar graph shows the incidence rate of metabolic crisis for 4 supplements. The first 2, L-carnitine and CoQ10, are part of a mito cocktail that many of our TANGO2 children take. But you can see that there's not much difference between those who take them in green and those that don't in blue in terms of crises. But look at the last 2 columns for multivitamin and B complex. Kids taking those supplements are not having metabolic crises. In another recent publication that came out this year from the natural history study, we're finding that vitamin supplementation not only prevents crisis, but also improves neurologic outcomes. In 2 unrelated sibling pairs, the older siblings suffered multiple crises, while their younger siblings have very mild to no symptoms even at the ages of 8 and 13. Unlike their older siblings, the 2 younger ones started taking B complex vitamins in infancy. In an independent basic science investigation, another scientist found that B5 in particular corrected symptoms in fruit flies with TANGO2. And in another study using TANGO2 heart cells, B9 corrected arrhythmias. Now that Ryan is 22 years old and is post-puberty and regularly taking his B vitamins, he's had the best 3 years of his life. He's got more energy than ever, and every day's a green day. Here are just a couple other testimonials from other TANGO2 families. The difference the new B vitamins have made for Phoebe is astronomical. She's gone from walking 50 meters to running all day, no wheelchair needed. Saul has made great improvements since starting the vitamins. She's changed 100%. She does not need rest periods and has energy throughout the day. She has a slightly longer attention span, and her walk is not twisted or altered like it once was. I told this story today to shed some light on an example where a life-saving drug supplement that's readily available was found for a life-limiting, newly discovered, little understood, rare disease because patient families had a voice and clinician scientists listened, and they worked together. We don't yet know what the function of TANGO2 is. We don't know why the vitamins work. That will come. But for now, we celebrate that lives are being saved, quality of life is improving for TANGO2 children around the world, including mine. And now, when I wonder, can we fix it? I say, yes, we can, and yabba dabba doo.